What's happening, guys? Today I'm going to take you really quickly through some key steps for the drive phase. So anytime that we're sprinting, there's three distinct phases. We have the drive phase, which is the first 4 to 6 steps, depending on the athlete, the acceleration phase, and then the top speed phase. So today we're going to go through really quickly the drive phase. So that's our first 4 to 6 steps. So with our setup, we're going to be working from the 3-point start. So if you're a track athlete, it's likely you're going to have 2 hands down coming out of the blocks. Some athletes like to take off just standing on 2 feet, but with my athletes, I like to get them into the 3-point stance. It's just going to make them a little bit more explosive off the start. So what we want is one hand down. This front knee on the setup, we want it at a 90-degree angle. And then the back knee we want at about a 120-degree angle. Now, I'll give a little bit of leeway for my athletes as to what they feel comfortable with, but I definitely want that front knee at 90 degrees. The other thing we want to look at is having this Achilles on stretch. So on this rear heel here, you can see athletes, if you video them in slow motion off the start, that their heel will move back 3-4 inches before they start moving, all right? And that's wasted energy. So what we tell them is to have that heel on stretch, to push that heel down towards the ground so the Achilles is on stretch so that when they start, there's no wasted movement. The next thing we're looking for is a close to neutral spine. So we want the athlete in an athletic stance. We don't want them hunched over because that's gonna affect their ability to produce force. The other thing we wanna look for is a chin tuck. So I always tell my athletes, tuck their chin down into their chest and they should be looking down. I want them looking at the big toe on that front foot, all right? So this is our setup for our start, and this is where we're gonna produce all our force. So after that, we have our first step. So for our first step, what we wanna see is a good torso angle. So athletes can sometimes be inclined to stand up and then start running. What we want to do is encourage the athlete to drive out on a low angle as possible, all right? We don't want them tripping over their feet, but we want them driving out on an angle, and you should be able to see a straight line from the base of their neck all the way down their spine and all the way down their back leg. So when that front knee comes up, it should be a straight line from the back of their head to the back of their heel, all right? That's what we want to see. When that knee drives, it should be like a piston action. So we're cueing the athlete to drive that knee straight up and then straight back down. So this knee here, we're driving it forward and then it's coming back down, all right? Sometimes athletes can be inclined to push that foot straight down. We want them pushing it back into the ground so that we can propel them forward down the track, all right? The other thing you want to be looking for is dorsiflexion. So that's going to be their foot coming up. So the way that I cue this for my athletes is I tell them to have their big toe come to the top of their cleats, all right? So that's a great way to cue that movement. Also for our shin angle, or for where our hip angle should be, I should say, is we want it about perpendicular to the rest of the torso. So if the torso is on this 45-degree angle, the thigh should be perpendicular and the shin itself should be parallel. So this here would be a 90-degree angle and a 90-degree angle, or about somewhere near there. That's where we want to be. Of course, it depends a little bit on the athlete as to what position they're in. After that, they're driving that foot back and down as it makes contact, then the next foot is going to follow. We also want to think about our arm swing. So the arms swinging are going to help generate force. So we want to use those levers. So I like to encourage a big arm swing without it being excessive and without it being too slow. The last thing for here again is our chin tuck. So even out of our first 1 or 2 steps, I want my athlete tucking that chin into their chest and keeping their eyes low. So I say look down at the ground in front of your feet. As you get into about step 5 and 6, you can start to bring your eyes up and look down the track, all right? So as we get later into our drive phase, the angle of the torso is slowly going to come up. So as they're taking steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, that angle gets higher and higher. We want to transition our arm swing into a cheek-to-cheek arm swing. So that's the cheek on your face to your butt cheek. That's where you want the hands to go. And we also want to encourage this 90-degree angle at the elbow, all right? So something athletes also commonly do is move their arms too much at the elbow, making a kind of karate chop action. We want to be swinging at the shoulder with those arms locked in that 90-degree angle. And of course, that torso angle is coming more upright. So this is the key things that we're looking at for athletes in those first 4 to 6 steps in our drive phase. I'm going to continue with if you watch my next video, we're going to talk about the next phase in the sprint, and that is going to be our acceleration phase.